Shalom, real quick, giving all praise to Yahweh, Shema, Shabbat, Shalom, Krakodah, Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. I'm going to entitle this video, I should get a lot of hits off of this one because of the title, The Wacky, Wacky World of the Hebrew Israelites. The subject is New Moon Controversy, or New Moon. Anyway, I was watching this earlier. This is Brother Hassad. This is they did a live, then they ended a live, then they came back and did like a part 2 to the live Saturday Sabbath. Keepers worship the devil. In other words, they worship they follow the Gregorian calendar, which before the Gregorian calendar you had the Julian calendar, which was way the fuck off. Gregorian had to redo it. Matter of fact, I may even go into a little history. But anyway, so here you got Hassad doing the part 2 to this thing. I just caught it right here. It was on my notifications. See if it still comes up. Where is it? Right here. There's a part 2. So they obviously ended part 1 and they had to come back. And they were going against Baal, Believers of the Way, because they're pushing Friday sundown to Saturday sundown is a Sabbath, where it doesn't make any sense at all. All you got to do is go to one script. This shouldn't even be a debate. One scripture kills this whole thing. This whole bullshit ass debate is Leviticus 23. You can start from the first couple of verses, or the first 3 or 4 verses. It tells you about the new moon and all the feasts that are associated with the new moon. And the first one, the primary one, is the Sabbath, which is a feast. You eat. In other words, you eat. The new moon, you eat. You know, you prepare the food before the sun, you time it before the sun go down. Then when the sun goes down, you eating. Okay? There was an account where King David would go before Saul and his sons and for the new moon to sit down and eat. And he didn't make it. And I'm not going to go all into the history of it, but it tells you, it says something about the first day of the month. Then it says the second day and the third day of the month. I can go to it, but I'm not going to go into it. Or maybe I will go into it. And that's what kills that Friday sundown to Saturday sundown nonsense. So anyway, I clicked on this. So he's reading Sabbath. Right, Sabbath was not okay. Now the thing you can ask these guys from the bow is, what day was the Lord crucified? If they say Friday, what day was he? He risen? And they may say Sunday. I don't know. But it's humanly impossible to get Friday sundown, which is a Sabbath, actually going into Saturday and a Sunday, and get 3 days out of that. And the scriptures also say after 3 days. So 24 hour periods had to take place in order for it to be 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days and 3 nights means a night and a day is 24 hours. So somebody puts and you got these elementary school Israelites. You got different, there's levels to this thing. You got these basic little Israelites that don't go out and they really don't know the scriptures. They know a handful of scriptures. So this is T Miles 15. Y'all got a lot of blood on y'all hands, convincing people to sin Friday to Saturday sundown. Okay, so let me open it up from here, which I just told you. What kills this, what ends this debate is Leviticus 23 and the first 3 or 4 verses. All the festivals. Matter of fact, I'll go to it. Let me go to it. So Nate, you're going off. General Yohana, you're going off. Captain Tazariak, you're going off. And Captain Tazariak does not want to debate Hassad and Hakar. because he will get spanked. And we don't debate at all. We're beyond debating. If you can't see it, then that's too bad for you. So let's go to Leviticus 23. Okay, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the sons. The word there is sons. It says children, but the word there is sons of Israel. It says bun Yasha'Allah. It should say bun yum Yasha'Allah. And say unto them concerning the feast of Yahweh, which is, they already knew the name, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. Then he gives you the list. The very first feast, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is a Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. So when's the starting point of the 6 days? It's talking about the new moon. They didn't have 7-Eleven. They didn't have Dwayne Reed's. They didn't have, Walgreens. They didn't have the dollar stores that you can buy. You know, they'll sell you calendars. In January, you got to pay the full price. February, March, you can get that calendar for $1. So, you know how that go. Some mechanics, auto mechanics, at the end of the year, they got a box full of calendars, and that's called the Gregorian calendar, not the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar was so out of whack that it had to be redone by the Gregorian. You had summer; it was cold as hell in the summer, and it was hot as hell in the winter, because the days are all effed up. So right then and there, you know that it says the Sabbath is one of the feasts. Mentions having a feast, then the very first feast is called the Sabbath. 7 days. 7 day based upon what? Because Moses didn't have a pocket calendar. They didn't have 7-Elevens and Dwayne Reed's and Walgreens in Egypt. You couldn't go to this dollar store in Egypt for you nabobs. Look that word up. So anyway, let me come back over here. Where are we? Let's listen to the rest of it. So this guy's upset. You causing people to sin.
More than welcome to come on here and click the link, but I don't think you will, because like the Bible says, despite your age, it says older men are not always wise. You're an example of an old man and an old fool, and that's why you believe what you.
Yeah, I don't know the guy. I don't know how much he goes into the scriptures. I don't know what he knows. So I'm not going to say anything good or bad about him. About T Miles 15.
Believe, and it is what it is. So all praise to the Most High. Let's get our brother Rogers on back here. All right, mic check. Mic check.
And Ratazar, whatever his name is, he's totally gone. He's just gone.
Okay.
I don't hate him. I don't love him. I don't know.
Speak real quick so I can just mic check.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on.
The audio's
Hold on one
out.
second.
Okay, go ahead.
Sometimes you got to listen to madness. And we know we got enough madness going around.
Hold on. Bad connection. Let's see.
All right, we'll wait for the brother's connection to get back right. Let's wait for our brother Ariel. Ariel's in the back chat. I see you, King. So we're gonna get you on here in a second. All right, so we're gonna matter of fact, Ratazan, I'm gonna send you down, and then We'll get you on in a second. Also, to Ariala, I'm gonna deal with Ratazan. Just finish this little one-on-one, then I can get you on here. Deacon said, look at Antonio's comment.
No, I don't believe this. Wait a minute. No, this can't be true. This can't be true. The Jim Dore show uploaded Israel guilty, or like the Palestine, current Israel, Jerusalem, whatever. The small hats land. Israel guilty of systematic sexual violence against Palestinians. But you gotta watch that. There's always something to speak about, always something to see.
First day, night day. Second day, night day. Third day, night day. Do you not count it? Okay. Let me not be disrespectful and rude and stuff like that. Matthew 28:1 says, in the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn. Brother, dawn means sunrise. The end of the Sabbath as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. You believe the first day of the week. Did you forget what you believe in, brother? The first day of the week is Sunday to you? Do you not understand that? That means it's Sunday morning. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to the sepulchre and there was a stone rolled back, meaning Christ rose Sunday morning according to even your own logic. Friday during the day, he's dead. Friday during the night, he's dead. That's one day, one night. Saturday, he's dead both day and night. Sunday during the day, he's dead. And at some point during the morning, the day, he rises. That's 3 days, 2 nights. Now, I'm going to say something that might be disrespectful. If you cannot understand that, you are not smart. You're far from smart. I'm not even going to say you're stupid.
Actually, let's do the count. If it was, let's say, the body, pursuant to law, Levitical law, the body had to be buried before the sun went down. He was crucified, gave it to ghosts in the daytime. Prepare the body, put him in the tomb. So let's say it's on a Friday. Friday night he was in the tomb. So the clock started ticking at the sundown of Friday. Friday. We're assuming it's Friday, right? Good Friday and all that good stuff, right? So he has to be in there. He has to complete three days from the sun up to sundown. In the evening and the morning was the first day, 24-hour period. The sun as the sun was going down, they put him in the sepulcher, right? Before the sun went down. So he's in the as the sun was going down. So that's Friday night going to Saturday. Let's say that happened at 6 o'clock. No, let's say that happened at 7 o'clock p.m. on a Friday. Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Saturday, 7 o'clock p.m. is day one. Saturday, 7 o'clock p.m. Sunday, 7 o'clock p.m. That's day two. That's 2 days. There's only 2 days. There's only 2 days. So he didn't die on a Good Friday. Now IUIC, well, he died on a Wednesday because they want to kind of. This shows you that you guys cannot prove that the Sabbath is on a Friday sundown and Saturday sundown. The Messiah didn't go by that. Israel didn't go by that.
But you're just really far from smart. If smart is New York City, you're somewhere in Thailand or something like that. That's why I got to put it to you. And maybe that's even above your head. Very simple. It's 3 days and 2 nights. Because 3 days and 3 nights is not literal. All right. Let's try to get a mic check. Go ahead.
Yo, can you hear me?
Much better now. Okay. I don't know exactly where we left.
My bad.
Yeah.
I think we left off on us understanding when a day begins, and I think that's where the disagreement is coming at. But again, I mean, the point was kind of redundant, but I think you understand my point. I understand your point. We just don't agree. So I know you said. Well, I did want to ask you a question. I know you said you had another question.
Yeah, but you gotta agree. If you You can't say, "Oh, he teaches that, and I teach something else, and we're fine with that." No, somebody's wrong. Somebody's wrong. Somebody's either adding to the scriptures or taking away from the scriptures, and somebody's going to be condemned for it. So you should say you're condemned. You're going to die. You know, or vice versa. These guys don't know what's going on. You know, you're messing with fire. Even though I get on these two, Hassad and Hakar, when they debate, they come prepared. And they come to whip spiritual ass. This is why we don't debate, because it's frustrating dealing with a simple ass nigga. That's the topic right there. It's frustrating dealing with a simple ass nigga.
And I don't know if that was the question, but I did want to ask you a question.
I have one other question, if that's all right.
And then can I ask you one, and then I got to get going after I ask you one question.
Okay, I think
Is that cool?
Ariella. I guess, is it cool if Ariella asks one question at the end, because he's been waiting for a while. So I'll ask one question. You'll ask one question. If you don't have time, it's fine.
Yeah, because I'm driving to the Bay. I'm driving to the Bay Area right now. I just want to get on with you. We've been on for.
You should stick around. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, stick around. Stick around, man. This is important. Where you going? We going to speak? You speaking right now. You teaching. Call them brothers up, say, I'll meet y'all down there in an hour. Let me straighten out Brother Hassad here. Low key sound like you're running.
Hour. So I just really wanted to ask you one question, and then I got to get out of here. It's going to be simple.
Okay, so I'll make mine quick then too. So I'm based on the discussion we had yesterday. I'm trying to again understand. We agree that Christ died on Passover, correct?
Yeah.
And you believe that Passover is the Sabbath?
Yes.
So in Mark 15:37, it says, "And Jesus cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost." This is on the Passover and Sabbath, right?
Yes.
Verse 38, "And the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom." It's still Passover and Sabbath.
Were you Mark 15 and what?
Now we're at verse 39. But just establishing that this is the Passover still, and according to you, the Sabbath.
Yes.
Okay. So verse 39, "And when the centurion which stood over against him saw that he so cried out, he gave up the ghost, and he said, truly, this man was the Son of God." Still is Passover and the Sabbath, correct?
Yeah, he died. He died on the Passover. Yes.
Okay. I'm trying not to be redundant, but I'm gonna, just so I can get your understanding, I'm gonna continue line by line.
But real quick, the Sabbath. Okay, we got two different perspectives. So the Passover would be a Shabbaton, right? The Passover would be a Shabbat. It wouldn't be a 7-day cycle to my perspective. It'd be a Shabbaton in the Hebrew, which is different than the weekly Sabbath, which is a Shabbat.
Right.
Passover falls on a weekly Sabbath. The Passover falls 14th day at evening, which is going into the 15th day. That's the second Sabbath of that particular moon. So the Sabbath the Passover is also falls in on a Sabbath. You got certain high holy days that do not fall in on a Sabbath, like the Day of Atonement, the 9th day at evening going into the 10th day, which is the 10th day.
Right, but this
so
is...
yes, it is a Sabbath. Yes, it is a Sabbath, but it is not the Shabbat. It is a Shabbaton.
Here's the problem.
I just want to clear that up.
It's the same thing. You got a special Sabbath for any high holy day, but if it happens to fall, the Feast of Tabernacles falls on the 14th day at evening, which happens to be a weekly Sabbath, which happens to be the 7th month, the 14th day of the month is the Tabernacles. It's a Sabbath. Whether you want to call it a special Sabbath or a regular Sabbath, it falls on the Sabbath.
It has to be the weekly Sabbath because you believe that he died on Friday night.
No. I believe he died in the midst of the week.
Oh, you believe he died Wednesday?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, nonetheless, we'll continue. Going down to verse. So I'll just kind of skip to the.
What day? What time in the middle? You're talking about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Point, and that kind of saves time. In verse 43, it says, verse 46, that Joseph of Arimathea bought fine linen. So you say this is the Sabbaton. You agree then that Joseph of Arimathea bought fine linen on the Sabbaton?
Well, see, and this is what I'm saying.
You can't buy and sell on the Sabbath, or high holy day Sabbath, or the regular weekly Sabbath. You cannot buy or
And
sell.
if you're saying bought as in he bought it, and it could mean he had it and bought fine linen, which means I bought it with me because he had fine linen. See, that's an understanding thing. I don't think he broke the Sabbath though, for sure
Okay.
not.
Right. So in the text, let's just read it again. So I'm going to make sure that I understand and the audience
Because it
understands.
says, look, real quick, it says, and he brought fine linen and took him down and wrapped him in the linen.
It
So
doesn't say brought. Like,
from my
it's just,
perspective,
right, real quick, Rajazan. It doesn't say just because the audience. It doesn't say brought. It says bought. B-O-U-G-H-T. Bought.
got you.
He
Go
bought.
ahead.
And what does it mean then, Rajazan, when it says and? Why would it say and he bought fine linen? What's the point of saying and right there?
Again, I think he bought the fine linen, but he had it. He could have had it in his possession already. The
So why?
same way. Watch this. Real quick. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
The same way. I know he didn't break the Sabbath, but the same way that you insert that the Lord gave us a random rest day in the middle or on the 9th day to help us with the fast. I'm telling you that he could have had this in his possession already. This could have already been in his possession.
So let me make sure I
Like,
understand. So
Lord ain't dealing with this. This is why we don't debate, because he knows he's losing, or he maybe doesn't. Common sense. You know what? Hey, what's up? What's up with you, Bishop Nate? You still teaching Friday sundown and Saturday sundown? We've been saying this for years.
you're interpreting this text by imposing your own preconceived ideas, opinions, or biases into it rather than allowing the text to speak for itself?
just like you did.
Oh,
Absolutely.
so okay. No, wait a minute. That's fine. So you admit that you did. That's all right.
Yeah, because look, let's read up real quick, right?
Okay.
Because it says
Exegesis is the practice of interpreting a text by imposing, putting in, injecting, conjecture one's own preconceived ideas. You read the scripture, this is what it means. No, it don't mean that. Yes, it does. The Spirit came to me last night.
and Pilate marveled. Real quick, it says, and Pilate marveled if, well, no. Actually, I stand corrected. I had to read. I stand corrected. My apologies. My apologies. This was actually after the actual Passover. Remember, he died on Passover. So Passover was already passed. So this is not the same day. This is the actual next day, which is going into the 15th day. Going into the 16th.
Yeah, he's getting caught up in his words. He ate the Passover lamb the night. It starts at the 14th day at evening. They took him. Remember, Peter chopped off the ear of Malchus, one of the high priest's servants. That was it at the night. They judged him all night. They beat the shit out of him. They sent him to the Edomites. The Edomites beat the shit out of him, which were Herod not smacked him, but Herod was happy to see him. Oh, this is the famous Yahushua. Maybe he'll perform a miracle. So he said, "Oh, how you doing, Yahushua?" Yahushua looked at him like, "Who the fuck is you?" And Herod, the faggot that he is, said, "Man, the fuck out." And I believe I got to go back to it, but the Herod's men of war, they buffeted him. Then he sent him back to Pilate. So then that day, which is the 15th day, that's when they found him guilty. They went to, the Pilate said, "I find no fault in the man, but however, there's a custom that you have two criminals or whatever. You can set this guy. We're gonna let him free, and we're gonna kill this guy. We're gonna crucify him." And only Jakes and other nations got crucified. Roman citizens, if you were Jake and you were a Roman citizen, you did not get crucified. Yahushua wasn't a Roman citizen. He was tributary under the Romans. Paul was a Roman citizen. A lot of you motherfuckers don't know that.
The 16th. I'm sorry. The 16th. I'm sorry.
It was you can't play as a Hebrew hopscotch. I had to borrow that. It was on. He ate the lamb. They caught that at night. Him and the apostles. They captured him, right? They beat him. They judged him. That next day, he was sentenced. How we gonna kill him? We're gonna crucify him. That was the 15th day, my man. That was the 15th day.
So he died on the 14th that eve. So real quick, he died. I had to read up. I'm sorry, Salakia. I misspoke. I had to read up. He died on the 14th that evening, which is the 15th to my perspective. Once he died, that was a whole process day. He died in the morning time, like around 3 o'clock, right? And then after that,
What do you mean died in the morning time around 3 o'clock? I don't know. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. This is your classic moving the goalposts.
ceremony and the whole situation took place, it was the next day, and then he came and brought the linen and wrapped Christ's body.
And bought. When you go to the store and buy a pair of shoes, you where did you buy those from? I bought them from. Brought meaning you carried them. I bought it from A, B, and D store, and I brought it to my house. Do you have any command of the English language? And niggas will say that. I bought it. No, I brought it, meaning he went and paid for something.
And then
Get your English up, son.
the following Sabbath pursued, and then they rested to the following Sabbath. So this is actually after the Passover.
That's not in the scriptures. That is not in the scriptures. Remember, why was he the lamb? He represented the Passover. He was born on the Passover, and he was, sacrificed, put on a. How was he? Didn't he become the sacrifice for Israel? So did some high priest cut him open and cut his head off? No, sacrifice meaning he was given up. He's put on the cross. The spirit was yielded to the Father.
After the first day of Passover.
Brother, in verse 37, this is Passover, right? When Jesus dies, when he gave up the ghost?
Yes, he gave up the ghost, yes.
Okay, so verse 38, and the veil of the temple was rent in twain, still Passover.
Yes, he died on Passover, yes.
Okay, and when the centurion which stood over against him saw that he so cried out. That's
right.
Still Passover.
Look at verse 42. Look at verse. So we real quick.
Right.
Real quick. So in verse 42 tells you that's the transition of another day. That proves my point. That's why I had to read up. Real quick.
Verse 42. Going to my point.
Listen. Verse 42. This.
When the evening was come, it's talking about the 15th day at evening. All that day was the Passover.
Verse 42, just so we can have clarity, verse 42 from your perspective will be the start of your Sabbath.
No.
Listen, let me say this. Verse 42, real quick, so you can understand.
This guy's confusing me, man. This guy's confusing. He's confused his damn self. I don't know what he's talking about because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's looking real bad.
My perspective, because I understand your perspective. Your perspective is that Passover. Listen. Your perspective is that Passover is not a Sabbath, right? My perspective is that Passover is a Sabbath. Your perspective is that the next
Passover is a high holy day, which Passover happens to fall on the Sabbath. 14th day at evening is the Sabbath.
Day was actually the Sabbath. That's your perspective. It is a 7-day Sabbath on the 15th. He's already dead on the Passover, which is not a Sabbath. And then this actually would cut you because you are saying at your admission that they broke the Sabbath the same way because they brought. Now listen. Let me say this in verse 42. Listen. In verse 42 it says, and now when the even was come, because it was the preparation.
The Passover is considered Sabbath because you didn't work on that day. You didn't work on that day. You didn't have sex on that day.
That is the day before the Sabbath. So I understand the preparation day is bringing in, but comes before the 7-day weekly cycle. Passover's already. I mean, Christ is already dead. He's dead. Evening comes. They come and get his body, and now they're buying the fine linen because it's not a Passover on the 15th day. I mean, yeah, on the 15th day in terms of the 6th going into the 16th. But go ahead,
Okay.
you got it.
There's a big issue with that, and I'm going to read it just from this account in Mark chapter 15. But even in the account that you guys,
Oh boy, this is confusion, bro. This is clear confusion. And pride is making him kind of, he's moving the goalposts. I told you this years ago. The Most High is not dealing with the believers of the way at all.
guys mentioned the other day, I think it's in Luke, and I know that you are limited on time, so I will try to find this as quickly as I can. I know.
Yeah. I got to get going.
Okay. If I can't find it in the next 10 seconds, then
This word is your first priority. I mean, what is so important that you got to get going? What do you got to do that you got to get going? This is about the word of the Lord.
and I think I found it. All praise to the Most High. Luke 23 and in that day. Okay, perfect. All right. So in Luke's account, he gives a similar account. And it says, verse 50, and behold, there was a man named Joseph, a counselor, and he was a good man and just. Same thing. The same had not consented to the counsel and deed of them. Let's get to the point. This man went unto Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. This is the same day Christ died, correct?
I don't. It doesn't say this is the same day he died. Luke 23. Where you at? 23 and what?
I was at 52, but just for some context, look in verse 44. And it was about the
If he died on the 15th day or any day, he has to be buried before the sun goes down. Levitical law.
6th hour, and there was darkness over all the earth. Then verse 46, and Jesus cried with a loud voice, and into my Father, into my hands, into your hands I commend my spirit.
And he died. Yes.
That's Passover, right?
Yes, when he died, right? Remember, the count in John said at even. Remember, the count in John said at even, right? So that day would be completely over with.
No, look, here's how we know. When it says at evening, meaning evening is coming. And how we know that is, well, just there, it tells you. But even if you disagree with that, look what it says in verse 54. And that day, the day that Christ died, was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on. Meaning, another day had not come yet, but it was approaching. That's what it means.
What verse you at?
Verse 55, was that 4? So in verse 54 it says, and the evening was coming and the Sabbath drew on. Mark's account says
in Luke 23.
I'm sorry?
In Luke 23.
Yes, sir. Verse 54.
Uh-huh.
And that day was the preparation and the Sabbath drew on. So when it says in Mark's account, and that day was the evening, that is the day before the Sabbath, it's saying the evening for the next day was coming, but that day, specifically that Christ died, was the preparation. And the Sabbath was getting ready.
He was already no. See, we're looking at it different. He was already dead. Verse 52 says this man went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. So Christ was already dead. We understand the account in John says it was evening. Christ was already dead before that evening came. That's how I look at it, King.
That's the point, though, Ratazan. He dies before the evening, but right before the evening. That's why it says again, and that day was the verse 52. The man went unto Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. Because the Sabbath is about to, he's trying to hurry up and get Christ's body down and buy nice clothes to wrap Christ's body in because he can't later. Before the Sabbath. But you believe Passover is the Sabbath. So here's 2 points. Why would the Bible call?
No, you going off. Before it was he wanted to bury them because it was the law says before this you must bury them before the sun go down. Die on the day. They must be buried before the sun go down.
The Sabbath, the day before the Sabbath, one. But before you answer that question, how is it if you believe that it's the Sabbath? Is Joseph of Arimathea on the same day Jesus dies buying fine linen to wrap Christ's body in?
No. Okay, so look, I believe he died. It was a process of time. So when you go to Daniel chapter 9, listen, when you go to Daniel chapter 9, let me just get it. I'm going to answer you cleanly real quick because I understand the disconnect. And once I answer you cleanly, I just want to...
That's why he started shaking his head. This is a madness, man. You know the scriptures speak about endless genealogies.
Be able to ask you one question, and then we can do this again.
Which genderous strife. Let me do this. Give me a second. Let me go Give me a second, y'all. Let me do the cheat way. I'll say it this way. Endless genealogies that bringeth forth strifes. Bible. This is what I want. 1 Timothy 1 verse 4. Let me do this. I want to read it in the King James. New King James, King James. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than most highly edification, which is in faith. So also. It's just like, no, brother, I believe you were Gad. I know you were dead. Well, no, the tribe of Dan. No. It didn't mention all the things, but fables. Like for example, it said that Peter saw the Lord because Peter was trying to escape from the judgment of the Romans to get put to death, and he saw the Lord. And I'll tell that story, but I'll say that's in the history. That doesn't mean it happened. Could it happen? We don't know. That's outside the scriptures, extra biblical. It says, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies. Even though they're not getting into genealogies, they're getting into stuff that it's pointless to talk about. Just come on back. That's why Hassad is shaking his head.
If you want. So this is Daniel real quick. So you familiar with Daniel chapter 9, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you might look at it different. Of course you do. But this is my understanding of Daniel chapter 9. So, Salakia.
So you're privy to have your own understanding. This is how I explain it, and this is how he explains it.
Daniel chapter 9. Excuse me. So, Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27. It says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, right? So let's read verse 26 for the context. And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifices and oblations to cease. And for the overspreading of abomination he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation that are determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So my understanding is that the Most High sends his son, Yahweh Shai, dies for us. In Luke chapter 21, he says once he gives up the ghost, or once he's betrayed, then the end will be like a flood. So directly after Christ's death, it says the oblation shall cease. We're at a period where we're not sacrificing anymore. The point is that his death will take place and the covenant will be confirmed in the midst of the week. So now that will be a Wednesday. So my understanding.
This guy's a fucking complete fucking idiot. Did you see that? Did you hear that? Oh, let me name some names. Elder Malcolm. Did you hear that? There's so many names in my head. Apostle Aramla. Did you hear that? Apostle Gabar. Elder Monaghan. Young up and coming elder. Whoever. Did you hear? This stupid nigga went to Daniel 9 and said that's talking about when the Lord. That's not talking about that. That's why he said this is how I break it down. Well, that doesn't make it a fact. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. You got no business teaching the scriptures, period. Why you think Assad is patting his head like that? This guy is absolutely lost. He doesn't know. He don't know which way is up. Like the Richard Pryor movie, he don't know which way is up. These guys is just made up shit and they run with it, man. There was more names I wanted to mention, bro. Elder Manatas Akbar. Oh, the bishops. Bishop Nathaniel. What about you? What say you about this? Let's go to Rome. Let's go to Daniel 9:27. I said, where's he going with this? Because he thinks the flood is talking about when the Lord died, then the flood came. He don't know what the fuck he's talking about, and they don't like us. But that's all right. You don't have to like us. Ratazar, whatever your name is, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is not dealing with you at all. Period. And you're making yourself look. You're fucking embarrassing yourself. This is why Brother Hassad keeps shaking him head. Because he said, I can't believe I'm talking to this fucking idiot right here. I'm not, and I broke it down. I went into Daniel chapter 9. He goes, are you familiar with that? Nigga, you ain't familiar with Daniel chapter 9. Anyway, man, I'm through with this, brother. I'm about ready to throw this damn computer out the window. With that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next.